In our practical guides, Graham, you talk about adopting a disciplined rhythm in the development process. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, when we're working with innovation teams, we really like to get them to establish a pretty rigid structure for their work, having weekly tasks related to the Plan, Do, Study, Act method. That we expect them to meet weekly to review the outcomes of those tasks, come to their conclusions, and then move on to the next task related to the focused risk or uncertainty that they've identified. If you leave teams to their own devices, if you don't guide them at this stage, absolutely no question that the development or exploration process will become very extended, dangerously so for the health of the idea itself. The team will almost certainly slip into much longer time horizons and they'll just lose momentum. And really, it's about making sure that momentum is maintained at this stage. So the Plan, Do, Study, Act tasks are about learning, and extending the timeframes mean that there is a greater risk of the learning being just dissipated, and the enthusiasm for the idea can just disappear, and not for good reasons. Teams that don't work with a disciplined rhythm really run the risk of losing focus and can end up shelving what are actually perfectly good ideas.
Yeah, so it sounds good in practice, but in the real world, of course, people get busy with their day jobs and that rhythm can go out the window a bit. So what are your main tips and advice to helping to make that work in practice?
Yeah, well, people have got to accept and buy into the rationale for it in the first place. So you need to explain what that rationale is. And having this very disciplined approach, sticking to the commitment to meet on a given day at a given time and keeping those meetings to no more than half an hour, it really pays dividends. We usually use a structure with the teams that they have 30 minutes to review their findings, draw their conclusions, and decide what they're going to do in the next week. The 30-minute limit just makes the whole thing more doable. Much less likely you're going to commit to pursuing this process if you're having to spend inordinate amounts of time. So there's a discipline not just in doing things over the course of a week, there's a discipline in using Plan, Do, Study, Act itself, and there's a discipline in getting through your business in just sort of 30 minutes. Recording your findings, making sure that there's a good record of what you're doing, what conclusions you reach as a result, and recording what you're planning to do next is also extremely important. So basically, you're building up a bank of knowledge and learning related to that particular idea. It just makes it easier for people to keep going, to keep up the momentum, and not to lose their place in the development process.
Yeah, I think a point that you've made, many times in the past is it's not actually just a linear process of going through that fail fast, fail cheap a step. I think there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes talk about that as it's like whack-a-mole, where you think you've got something bottomed out and you progress on that basis. And then an issue pops up somewhere else and you address that. But guess what? As a result of doing that, something else pops up back where you were before. So you shouldn't expect the process to be linear. And instead, you need to be ready to double back and revisit issues as your knowledge and understanding about the idea actually grows.
Yeah. So another thing that you mentioned in some of our practical guides is about the confidence of the innovation team. What are some of your thoughts on how you can help grow confidence in an idea that's been developed?
Yeah, the whole exploration process is really about that, to be honest. I mean, momentum helps. We see a big difference when teams commit to the discipline, when they agree that come hell or high water, they're going to get together, a meeting, they're going to do what they said they were going to do, and they're going to be accountable, then they usually surprise themselves with the pace of progress that they make. And this all helps with confidence. I think learning also increases confidence. Sometimes also what you'd regard maybe as trivial little tricks where, for example, I'd ask people to rate their own confidence in the idea they're working on at every single meeting. And confronting that question, you will see it just makes a difference to them. Someone sort of thinking, well, I'm an 8 this week and I was a 6 last week. So they themselves are registering their process. And all of these little things make a big difference to confidence and momentum. So you're really trying to get them to grow confidence and grow momentum. Sorry, I should also say that it's not just about growing confidence in the idea itself, though. It's equally legitimate to grow confidence in a recommendation that the idea should actually be shelved. In all cases, the team need to grow their confidence in their recommendation, whatever it ends up being. It's all part and parcel of a good innovation process.